YouTube found community, top 10 albums of the year fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we're here today to talk about my favorite top 10 albums of 2020. So, as we know, 2020 was a very bizarre year, but musically, just some great stuff came out. And a lot of these albums are, several of them in the top 10 to 5 are interchangeable. I can kind of mix them around here and there. The top 5 I'm pretty much set on, but I was waiting to make this video for a long time because a couple of things were coming in from the mail, and the mail just took forever over the holiday season, like McCartney 3, which is obviously on this list, and a couple other ones. So I couldn't make it for quite a while, but here I am, finally making this album, top 10 album of the year for 2020. So let's start it off with number 10, which could be interchangeable, like I'm saying. Tall, Tall Trees, A Wave of Golden Things. I've talked about Tall Tall Trees in the channel before, his last album a couple years ago, and I've talked about him on my Instagram channel as well. Just amazing storytelling, really beautiful banjo playing, but it's more than that. It's an electric banjo, so it could do a lot more than just sounding like a banjo. But that said, Mike did want to do more kind of plain banjo-y stuff on this album. The textures, the atmosphere, the soundscapes that he creates on this record are fantastic, and I love his voice. His voice could be so sweet and so smooth. I'm getting some Paul Simon vibes here and there, and I really just enjoy it a lot. This album came out early in quarantine, and this was definitely the soundtrack to the first few months of 2020, so really love this album. So, Tall Tall Trees, A Wave of Golden Things at number 10. Number 9, I'm putting The Weeknd, After Hours. This is the Target exclusive CD cover. And this album is just fantastic. Between Blinding Lights, I mean, there's a ton of songs on this thing. He definitely wears his influences on his sleeve on this one. It's definitely got an 80s sort of vibe to it, but it's also very, very Weeknd-ish, if you will. It's very dancey, it's very melodic. There's excellent storytelling on this thing as well. And he does go places. Musically, he kind of explores a little bit here and there, but overall, as a long player album, you could put this on and enjoy every single song on it. So really, really dig The Weeknd. An actual review of all of these are going to be coming up this year, so you'll see more in-depth reviews than what I'm saying now. But The Weeknd at number 9. And number 8 was an album that I completely took a chance on, and my life is all the better for it. Pinksix, their self-titled album of 2020. This is a cassette copy limited to 100, so I'm guessing there's still some out there now. But I bought it because the cover was intriguing, because it's kind of an old-timey, vaudevillian era, Victorian era type art. I was like, what is this? And so I played a couple of clips online, and I was blown away. It was one of those things where it's if Black Sabbath and Deep Purple had a baby, and that baby grew up loving every other 70s band that there was, this is kind of what that music sounds like, but obviously it's still very their own sound. But it's one of those things where, like, when the music kicked in, you're like, wow, this is really good. I hope the vocals are good. And the vocals were awesome. So it was one of those, like, come on. Oh, thank God. So, yeah, very cool tape on pink cassette there, if you will. Pink shell. But yeah, Pinksix, highly, highly recommend this group. If you want just fantastic early 70s hard-hitting rock and roll, early Judas Priest kind of sounding stuff, can't go wrong with Pinksix. So that was number 8. At number 7, and again, these are all slightly interchangeable, Stray Kids with In Life. This is the repackage of their first actual album called Go Live. And this one might be a bit of a, didn't know you were into that, Giggens kind of moment. This is K-pop, and I've known about K-pop for years. I just never really got into it. Nothing really captured my ears. I don't really know that scene too well. And in 2020, a friend of mine really got heavily into these guys and sort of got me turned on to them. And I've been a fan ever since. I think they're fantastic. They write their own songs. They write their own choreography. I mean, they're extremely talented. And I've listened to a lot of other K-pop in that time, and these guys keep coming out on top for me as one of the best. So Stray Kids In Life, check out the song God's Menu or Backdoor if you just want a really cool, dancey, fun time with excellent bass work and production. They could all sing like crazy, they can rap like crazy. All of it is in Korean, bar for some parts of it are in English, but absolutely fantastic. So Stray Kids, at number 7. Yeah, number 7. Number 6 is an album that came out very early in 2020, of Montreal's You're Fun. And this album definitely stands out in their discography as being like all singles, if you will, which they did that a couple of times in their early career, but hearing them do it again in a much more dancey sort of vibe. Their last albums before this one, the last 2 or 3 albums before this one, were good, but this one definitely brought back that like upbeat, dancey feel that they were known for in the mid-2000s, when you got great songs like You've Had Me Everywhere, Don't Let Me Die in America, Polyaneurysm, Peace to All Freaks. This album is just a fantastic romp through dance pop, and of course the amazing lyrics of Kevin Barnes through his storytelling. So this was bought at the last concert I ever went to. It was March 1st, 2020. It was the last concert I ever went. I can't believe I've been to a concert in almost a year. Oh my god. But yeah, Montreal, number 6 with Your Fun. Absolutely love that album. Coming up at number 5 is Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers. Absolutely adore this album. Her storytelling, her ability to go from a gentle whisper of a voice to actually screaming her head off is unbelievable. If you're looking for a different take on modern indie rock that is a refreshing take of it, if you will, for lack of a better explanation, this is definitely what you'd want to hear. Her storytelling is great. It's vulnerable. It's intimate. It really plays with your heart, and to have music that's so touching like that mixed with this music that could be sometimes very complex, sometimes very easy to digest, or sometimes the songs just grow, like the last song, I Know the End. It just grows and grows and grows. It's a fantastic piece of work. She did a great version of it for Late Night with Seth Meyers. I should check that video out. But Punisher, Phoebe Bridgers at number 5. Number 4, one of my absolute favorite things that come out of 2020, Chromio with Quarantine Casanova. This is an EP. Side 1 is the first 5 tracks. Side 2 is all the tracks as instrumentals. And it is a fun romp through quarantine. They sing about being stuck inside. They sing about wishing they could be with their partner, but they're 6 feet away. They sing about wanting to transform into a Clorox wipe so they could be part of someone's life. They add their humor to such a horrible time and make something absolutely wonderful, dancey, fantastic. Their production is super tight. You got P-Thug doing the Frampton talk box all over this thing. Dave One, smooth vocals. It's a hell of a ride for fun. So if you're looking for a good time when you're stuck in quarantine, put on some Chromio. You can't go wrong. Number 3, well, with AC/DC's new album, Power Up. This thing is absolutely fantastic. I wasn't expecting this to be as good as it was. And a lot of people have made the joke that AC/DC have made the same album 14 times. Who cares? It's a good album. If they've made it 14 times, I'd like to make one album that sounds that good and then repeat that formula over and over again. Who cares? This is the Target version, which came with a t-shirt and a really big box, which is great. But there's some fantastic moments on this thing. Shot in the Dark was the first single that came out for it. As I'm making this, Realize just came out with a video, which is really cool. But there's some moments on here with excellent group vocals, excellent drumming from Phil. The guitars just sound fresh and vibrant. This is a band that sounds so energized, coming off of the absolute horrible ending that the band had a few years ago where everything just fell apart. You know, the band really was in complete shambles. To come back together again and say Power Up, it's a statement of AC/DC not going down without a fight, and I just love it for it. So, fantastic record. The top 2 were really, really hard to choose, and I kind of picked... The top 2 are slightly interchangeable, but I think I'm happy with what I did. So, number 2, I put McCartney 3. I just made a video for this. You'll see it coming out at some point soon, but for a guy who had some songs laying around or came up with new songs on the spot because he was bored and didn't even think about putting out an album and then putting one out and having it be this good, that's the genius of Paul McCartney. For him to have songs hanging around, being like, no, guess I'll use that one. I mean, When Winter Comes from 1992. He was just sitting on that. Like, he was going to put it on the Flaming Pie box set, and he was like, you know what? I'll just save it for this new album. It's going to have better home here. And he was right. But it's a fantastic album of McCartney exploring in his typical classic Macca 1, Macca 2 way, where he just does music for himself. He's not worried about making a hit single. He's just worried about nothing. He's just having fun. and that really rubs off so well in this album. And it's Paul McCartney. He's one of our favorites. Of course he's going to be in the top 3 somewhere. So McCartney 3, absolutely adore this album. And at number 1, probably an album none of you expected or maybe even know about, but Tennis with their album called Swimmer. This came out in February of 2020, and I absolutely adore this album. The singing on this, the playing, the textures, the atmosphere, the vibes, they took everything they had done for the last 2 albums and just perfected it on this one. The opening track, I'll Haunt You, is this piano ballad that just rips at your heart, and every song after that is dancey, poppy, full of synths, full of layers. Elena's voice is absolutely fantastic on this thing because she can get so airy and so light in her vocal delivery, but also sometimes a bit growling. Her delivery is fantastic, and Patrick doing the guitars and stuff, great. I cannot say enough about this record. It's fun. I've played it a million times. I have not gotten tired of it yet, and I think that's the reason why it became my number 1 album this year, of 2020, I should say, is that no matter how many times I played it, I found something new in it, and I kept discovering that magic over and over again that they produce. So Tennis, Swimmer is my number 1 album of 2020. And that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Here's my list. That's it, man. Best albums of 2020 according to Giggens. I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are on the selections I picked and what your favorite albums of 2020 were as well. What was your number 1 album of 2020? Let me know in the box below. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, and see you soon. Bye.